Howdy, how goes? So today, as you can see, I have this little, what do I even call this? Installation happening. Yeah, I have been putting off decorating my walls for the longest time, and I finally have an idea. So yeah, this is kind of like the outline, but what I want to do is I have like all these old papers like for scrapbooking and whatnot. Some of them are old drawings. But I want to make a sun design, and I hope I have enough fun little paper to cut into circles and make a sun. But I wanted to sit and chat as I cut circles. So let me sit down and then I'll be back. Wow, okay, this lighting is like actually incredible. This is like a little too high up. Doesn't matter, I don't think it does. Yes, this is the unfiltered me, the unfiltered room. I'm like, oh, let me see. It looks so messy. Okay, yes. You know what? This is the real me. Sometimes my place is messy. This is me and all my authenticity. But yeah, I'm gonna cut circles and chat. So, oh my God. I just got a haircut today, and I hadn't got my hair cut in, it's been a couple months for sure. And the last time I got my hair cut was like, I was done a little bit dirty. The bangs were cut just like a little too short. And I don't know, I wanted to try out like a new hair person for a while. So I had like a little completely non-dramatic, non-confrontational breakup with my old hairstylist, who I'd been seeing for like almost a year. But yeah, I didn't like text her or anything like, I'm not coming back. Because who knows, maybe I will. But yeah, I was getting my hair cut by a new person today, and I feel like getting your hair cut can already be like such a vulnerable thing. So whenever you're meeting with a new hairstylist, it always is like, I don't know, there's always a little bit of anxiety for sure. But yeah, I got my hair cut, and I had an experience that, and it was actually a really good experience, but basically they cut my hair, and frankly, I just like wasn't happy with the end product. Actually wanted more cut off. So yeah, I had to advocate for myself. And I have gone through a lot of growing pains in terms of people pleasing, in terms of advocating for myself, and it still is challenging sometimes, and it was challenging in this instance. And like, isn't it just so frustrating how like sometimes you do get like this like surge of, not like endorphins, but like some kind of happy juice when you advocate for yourself and you're so proud of yourself. But sometimes it's just challenging, and you're like, oh, I don't feel good. I like had just like a split second where I was like, oh my God, I could cry right now. And yeah, isn't it just so frustrating how like you don't always get that like emotional payoff of, oh, I feel so good, I did something that was challenging and I'm so proud of myself. Sometimes you're like, oh my God, that was so uncomfortable and I feel like triggered right now. And it's just unfortunate. But yeah, my hair is cut. It's not styled right now in the way I would style it. and yeah, it was a good experience. It was a safe person. At least I think it was a safe person to, you know, speak up around. So yeah, I just felt like weird after and felt like I needed to apologize profusely, which I resisted, but I definitely got the urge where I'm just like, oh my god, I'm sorry, I'm paying for the service and I want you to do it in a certain way, right? Yeah. Also, just like what's challenging for me with like haircuts is like sometimes I feel like I lack the vocab to explain what I want. And at the same time, it's like sometimes I don't know what I want. And like, how are you going to communicate something if you don't know what you want to communicate? You know what I'm trying to say? Where it's like, how can I tell you what I want if I don't even know what I want? And that is, of course, like a me thing, you know? No one can read my subconscious brain, much less my conscious brain. So, yeah. Just made me think about how, like, and this applies to so many things, about how only so much healing can be done in isolation. And, like, I think being triggered is part of healing, where it's like, okay, I've dealt with this internally, I've gone to therapy or, you know, whatnot, however you've dealt with it. But now you need to go like flex that muscle. And when it comes time to flex that muscle, it sucks when it doesn't feel like incredible. Like for me, I feel like I picture it like, oh, I feel like it should feel the way when like let's say you've just ran a race and you're like, oh my god, I'm so, like, what I imagine ending a race feels like, or like winning a race. Well, why did I even bring that up? Does that even connect at all? Just like the feeling of like, it was hard, but you get this like adrenaline rush. Like I did like literally half a season of track and cross country. And I remember like, you would just get this like surge of energy when you were racing. And I feel like this actually doesn't connect that well to what I'm trying to say. So I'm gonna stop this line of thought in its tracks. But yeah, just had a fun experience advocating for myself. Oh my god, I'm like, should I split up this video? I have so many different things I want to chat about, so I'll stop it for now. Okay, so, yeah, I actually wanted to make this video because I am very interested in tattooing, as a lot of people are. Maybe it's just because I'm like in it, but like it seems like everybody is learning to tattoo these days, which is great because it's just like another medium, you know? The same way like painting and drawing is another medium. Like, it makes sense that people want to try out new mediums. I mean, it's fun learning a new medium. And yeah, tattooing is something I've been interested in for a while. And yeah, there's so many like different avenues of approaching tattooing these days. There probably always has been, but more like visible avenues, I guess, where like a lot of people will start off hand poking and then they'll learn machine, or like traditionally the one route to becoming like a tattoo artist, at least in like, I'm not talking about like hundreds or thousands of years ago, but like I guess within the last century, has been to get an apprenticeship. And I've done my research on apprenticeships, and they're not all bad. It really just depends on the place you're getting an apprenticeship from. But on top of like me not really wanting to do that right now, for multiple reasons, I also, a lot of people will like do hand poking out of convenience. And by hand pokes, I mean like stick and pokes, just like a needle where you're like manually putting it into someone's skin rather than machine. Yeah, I know a lot of people who, like, that's not actually, like, they would prefer to be doing machine. It's just a way more approachable, like, entry into tattooing. But I, like, there's been, like, so many more artists in recent years who are doing hand poking, like, very deliberately, where they do it because they prefer that form of tattooing. And, like, particularly when it comes to, like, stippled art designs, those can still be machine tattooed, but, like, hand poking can be, like, a great tool, vessel of, like, making those designs into tattoos. Very roundabout way of saying, like, stippled tattoos are not, like, easier to do hand poked. I mean, they might be. I haven't used a machine, so I can't really speak on that. But you can be very deliberate when you're hand poking. And yeah, I just, like, it's what I'm interested in right now, and I'm super open to learning machine, like, learning how to tattoo with a machine in the future. But yeah, just and, like, big asterisks on this statement, but the DIY tattooing movement, I don't know if you could call it a movement, there's just something about learning something on your own, something that, like, especially with tattooing, has been, like, gate capped, and just that empowerment of being able to learn something on your own. Sanitation is huge, and I feel like that is something that, like, really needs to have attention paid to it. Again, the grammar. Like, sanitation is very, very important. So, like, all things considered, like, I really do love the DIY aspect of, like, learning how to, or yeah, teaching yourself how to tattoo without getting, like, a formal apprenticeship. I love it, but, like, sanitation, super, super important. So if we're assuming sanitation is taken care of and everything that is possible to make sure things are sanitary is happening, yeah, I think stick and pokes are just, like, so freaking cool. And, like, I think in the past I was like, oh, you really don't need that much stuff. And, like, kind of, sorta, but I do think if you want things to be sanitary and if you want good tattoos, you really do need to invest in a setup. Like, but it still is very approachable and relatively way more accessible than learning how to tattoo via an apprenticeship. But yeah, I've been navigating, teaching myself things, and, like, I'm just at a place where it's like I just need to, like, put it into practice, because I have done a lot of research, and yeah, just the whole idea of theory versus practice. Sorry, I was thinking about, like social theories, but yeah, it's like you can research all you want, but when you're actually doing it, it's so different. But yeah, I'm excited to begin tattooing again. I did my first stick and poke, when was it? 2022. I think it was September 2022. And it's obviously May 2024 now. So yeah, I just had big gaps in between, times where I'm like, I don't even know if I like tattooing, or, like, it was more like, I don't know if tattooing is right for me. And yeah, just going through a whole lot of life. But yeah, it's like, and here we are back again, almost 2 years later, or, like, 1.5 years later. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And, like, yeah, there's so much you can research online, but sometimes it's just like, how are people doing this for real? Like, people definitely are, like, sharing information, kind kind of pushing back against like the gatekeeping that like historically has been in this field. But like, yeah, it's like not even just like, oh, how are people like tattooing? It's like these people are like, you know, getting private studios and like just the self-employment part. Like there's so much like behind the scenes stuff that you just have to like, I assume people just figure out on their own, but it's like, wow, it's actually so impressive and it's so cool. And yeah, I think tattooing specifically, like, I'm not saying like everyone should learn how to tattoo, but like maybe like it's for people that are like into tattoos at least. I just think that like having like that relationship to your skin and to the art that you're putting into your skin, there's just, to me, there's so much potential for like intention and just like for cool things to happen. I know I sound so big right now, but like I just think tattooing has so much potential. And yeah, I don't want to speak too much out of my rump, but like I do know, like, if we're talking about the history of like certain cultures, like tattooing was a spiritual thing, and a very meaningful thing. And like, I'm not someone who's like every tattoo has to like mean something to you, or it has to like, yeah, it doesn't have to be super meaningful, but I do think meaning and intention are different things. And it's like having an intention with the tattoo session, there's just like so much potential there for me. Like when you look at other body work, like I'm sure there's like hairstylists doing this. I haven't specifically met one, but like hairstylists are working with, if you believe in chakras, like the crown chakra, which is like, oh my god, now my knowledge is really being tested here. From what I understand about the crown chakra, it's connecting you to like the spirit realm, to higher realms, to higher vibrational energy. Yeah, that might not be all of it. I might have a little inaccuracies there, but that's like the gist. And yeah, like for someone who's cutting your hair, it's like, I'm sure there's a way to be like so intentional in doing that. But yeah, like massage therapists, I feel like that's something where it's like, oh my god, yeah, like there tends to be like a lot of overlap from what I've witnessed of like spirituality and massaging. And like, and then if we're going to like not so much the overlap but more to like the spirituality part, like Reiki, there's just like so many ways to work with like the physical body in a very intentional way, where you understand that you're putting energy into a certain part of the body, and that by doing that there's going to be a certain outcome. And yeah, people are absolutely already doing this with tattooing, but they're harder to come across. I've only seen a few, but actually I feel like it's so cool, the people that I have seen, because they're all doing it differently. Like all their styles are different. Like I feel like people almost have to be like a little more creative, because spirituality in general is such like an individual thing, at least to me. And that it is of my personal belief that spirituality should be approached in an individual way, where it's like what makes sense to you, what resonates with you. And so seeing people like have their tattooing be an extension of that, an extension of like their own approach to like spirituality or like energy work or whatnot, is just so cool to see. And yeah, it's like that's something I absolutely want to develop, but I think like part of it is just like actually doing the tattooing and figuring out like what you like about tattooing, what things you want to bring in. But yeah, it's like I see so many videos, or like, I don't know, I see so many videos, or like, I see so many, like, TikToks, or like, YouTube videos, or like, YouTube videos, or like, TikToks, or like, YouTube videos, 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 just in general with like all content, like we see people who maybe they're not experts, but they have like a lot of experience, and they kind of still take that like position of, here, I know all this. And it's not that I know nothing, but it's like sometimes the solidarity of someone who is also going through a transition period, through that learning period, through like where they like, yeah, where they are learning a lot and they're open to learning new information, which we always should be anyway. Yeah, I feel like that's where I'm at, even though I have had experience tattooing people. But it's like I still have more experience to go. I still have more things to learn. And I think just like, yeah, I'm here in solidarity for those who are in a transition period right now, where they're newer to something, where, yeah, where they're still learning. So here I am, eternal student of life, current student of tattooing, and student of many things, many things. But yeah, I just felt like chatting about that today. So I feel like these videos to me are so podcast vibes. I do think this video is going to be a longer one, but I just have thoughts and they all connect to each other. Duh. But yeah, I've thought about like, oh, should I do a video and just have one theme? And as a neurodivergent person, I just like don't like limits like that. I can do it, but it's just more fun to just chat. So yeah, I still have like way more things I need to cut, but I don't know. Maybe you'll see me tomorrow, maybe in a few months, few weeks, a year. I don't think it's gonna be that long, but I make no promises. I simply exist.